when we talk about the struggles we carry into adulthood, failed relationships, anxiety, addiction, the sense of being too much or not enough, it's easy to ask, what's wrong with me? That question carries shame. It assumes there's some defect inside us, some flaw we can't fix. But the more honest and healing question is softer. What happened to me? Childhood trauma doesn't always look like a single dramatic event. For many of us, it's the quiet absence of what we needed most. Maybe we weren't hit or yelled at, but our feelings weren't noticed. Our tears weren't soothed, our joys weren't celebrated. That's called emotional neglect, the experience of growing up unseen. And when a child isn't seen, they learn to hide parts of themselves to survive. We found ways to adapt. We became the good kid, always pleasing, never causing trouble, or the achiever, chasing success to earn love. Or maybe we numbed out, turning inward because feeling was too dangerous. These adaptations were not failures, they were acts of intelligence. A child's nervous system says, if I can't get safety, I'll create my own version of it. And for a time, those strategies worked. They kept us connected enough to get by. But here's the painful twist. What once kept us safe now keeps us stuck. The same walls we built to protect our hearts also keep love out. The same habits that dulled our pain end up dulling our joy. That doesn't mean we're broken. It means our old survival maps are still running in a present where they no longer fit. When we see this, we can let go of the shame, because it's not weakness and it's not madness, it's the human story. We all found ways to endure what was too much for us as children. And now together we can learn new ways to live beyond survival. When Maya first met Daniel, she felt the familiar pull, steady, self-contained, charming in a way that seemed safe. He texted just enough to keep her interested, never too much. Their dinners were pleasant, even warm, but when she leaned in emotionally, sharing a childhood memory, a dream, a fear, he would nod politely and change the subject. Something in her tightened, but she brushed it aside. It wasn't the first time. Before Daniel, there was Mark, who worked long hours and rarely called back. Before him, Jonah, who loved debating politics but shut down whenever feelings entered the room. Each time, Maya told herself she wanted someone independent, someone who wouldn't overwhelm her. Each time, she ended up lying awake at night, scrolling through old texts, replaying conversations, wondering if she had said too much or not enough. The pattern was subtle but relentless. Birthdays came and went, with gifts that felt practical rather than personal. When she cried once on the couch, Daniel patted her knee, awkward, as if her sadness were an inconvenience. In those moments, she felt a deep shame rise, the same sinking in her stomach she remembered as a little girl, when she would tug at her mother's sleeve and be told, "Not now, I'm busy." Maya had grown up in a house where food was on the table, clothes were clean, and homework was checked, but feelings were rarely welcomed. Joy was tolerated, sadness was brushed away, anger was punished with silence. So Maya learned early, don't need too much, don't feel too deeply, and maybe you won't be left alone. Now, decades later, those lessons lived quietly inside her. She didn't consciously seek neglect, but she was drawn to partners whose distance felt strangely familiar. Their emotional unavailability matched the rhythm of her earliest bonds. To her nervous system, this wasn't dysfunction, it was home. From Maya's story, we can see three things clearly. First, when our early needs for attunement, being truly seen and felt, are unmet, we grow into adults who mistake absence for normal. Second, the body remembers patterns long after the mind forgets, so we gravitate toward the familiar, even if it hurts. Third, the very strategies that helped us survive neglect, minimizing needs, shrinking our feelings, become the blindfolds that keep us from intimacy. And yet, recognizing the pattern is the beginning of change. If what was once unconscious can be brought into the light, a new path slowly opens, one where Maya and all of us can learn to want differently. Would you like me to now write the 5-minute story 2 on addiction and compulsion as a coping in the same compassionate, detail-rich style? ChatGPT said, Ethan looked like he had it all together. He arrived early to meetings, crisp shirt, confident smile. The kind of person colleagues admired for being endlessly reliable. His phone was always in hand, emails answered within minutes. If he wasn't at his desk, he was jogging with earbuds in or scrolling through news feeds late into the night. On weekends, friends saw him at bars, drink in hand, laughing a little louder than usual. No one worried. From the outside, Ethan was thriving. But inside, his body was always buzzing, like a motor that never shut off. He couldn't stand silence. The moment he came home to his apartment and the door clicked shut, the stillness pressed in. That's when the scrolling started. Social media, sports updates, even random online shopping. Anything to keep the quiet away. When that wasn't enough, another drink, a podcast playing while he showered. Background noise filling every space. Ethan wasn't lazy, reckless, or weak. He was coping. As a child, he learned that slowing down was dangerous. His father's temper could explode without warning, and his mother, overwhelmed, withdrew into herself. Ethan figured out early, stay busy, stay small, keep moving, and maybe you won't get hurt. Work became safety, numbing became survival. So when we see someone like Ethan, the question isn't why the addiction. The real question is why the pain. Addiction in any form, work, screens, alcohol, is not a search for pleasure, it's a search for relief. It's an attempt to soothe what feels unbearable when left unguarded. This isn't a story about weakness, it's a story about intelligence, the nervous system doing whatever it can to shield a child from fear and carrying that strategy into adulthood long after the danger has passed. Ethan's endless doing was once an act of self-protection. Only now, it keeps him from resting, from connecting, from feeling alive. And this is where compassion matters. Because if we can look at ourselves not with blame, but with curiosity, a small opening appears. 2 questions you might gently ask yourself. When I reach for work, a screen, or a drink, what feeling am I trying not to feel? And if that feeling could speak, what story from my past would it tell? Think of your nervous system like a smoke alarm installed in your house. Its job is to protect you, to warn you of danger. But sometimes, the alarm goes off not because there's a fire, but because you burned the toast. The system is doing its job. It just can't always tell the difference between real threat and old echoes of danger. This is how implicit memory works. Even if we can't recall certain moments from childhood, our bodies do. The tightening in the chest when someone raises their voice, the urge to withdraw when a loved one gets too close, the racing thoughts that don't match the moment. These are the body's way of remembering what the mind has long stored away. The memory isn't in words or images. It's in muscle tension, in breath, in heartbeat. It's the body saying, I've been here before and I know what to do to survive. Take a simple example. Imagine you're at a gathering and someone interrupts you mid-sentence. To others, it's a small thing, but suddenly your face flushes, your heart pounds, and you want to disappear. You might think, why am I overreacting? But if we look deeper, maybe as a child, your voice was often dismissed, your words cut off, your opinions brushed aside. The body remembers that dismissal as danger. So now, decades later, the smoke alarm goes off the moment it senses a similar spark. This doesn't mean you're broken. It means your system is exquisitely sensitive, finely tuned to keep you safe. The very reactions that feel like flaws are in fact proof of how hard your body has worked to protect you. And once you see this, something shifts. The shame softens. You realize it's not madness, it's memory. The hopeful part is that just as smoke alarms can be reset, our nervous systems can learn over time that the present is safer than the past. And with each moment of awareness, we begin to rewire the connection between body and mind so that our alarms go off only when they truly need to. The first steps in healing don't have to be dramatic. They can be small, gentle practices. They remind us we have more choice than we think. One simple practice is keeping an awareness journal, noticing what stirs you, when it happens, and with whom. Just a few lines. Today I felt tight in my chest when my coworker cut me off. This isn't about fixing anything, it's about mapping your inner landscape. When we see patterns on paper, they feel less overwhelming and more understandable. The second step is compassionate inquiry. When a trigger rises, anger, shame, withdrawal, ask softly, what am I feeling right now? When have I felt this before? What might my younger self have needed in this moment? These questions don't demand answers. They open space, and in that space, judgment begins to loosen. Third, try one somatic pause. The next time you feel flooded, put both feet on the ground. Take a slow breath and gently look around the room, naming 3 things you see. This simple act tells the nervous system, I am here in the present, not back in the old story. It helps your body distinguish burned toast from real fire. Fourth, practice one boundary this week. It can be as small as saying, I can't talk right now, but let's connect later, or turning off notifications after dinner. Boundaries are not walls. They're doors with handles. They protect our energy so we can offer ourselves more freely where it matters. Fifth, reach for one safe connection. That might be a trusted friend, a support group, or a therapist. Healing doesn't happen in isolation because wounding didn't happen in isolation. Safe relationships remind us that our needs are not too much and that our presence is welcome. Each of these steps works because they gently shift us from automatic survival into conscious choice. They don't erase the past, but they soften its grip on the present. And finally, a word of care. If you feel overwhelmed or unsafe exploring these steps on your own, please consider reaching out to a qualified mental health professional. Support doesn't make you weak, it makes the load lighter to carry. Maya's longing for closeness, Ethan's endless busyness, both were roots shaped in the dark, twisting around old wounds to survive. But even roots that grow in shadow can split stone when the light begins to rise through the cracks. That's what these tools are, small rays of light. An awareness journal that shows the pattern instead of blaming yourself. A pause that steadies the body so the alarm doesn't drown you. A boundary that says, my needs matter. A safe connection that whispers, you are not alone. Change doesn't happen in leaps, it unfolds like dawn. Slow, steady, gentle, safety comes first. Tiny wins are not small at all. They're the proof that new life is possible, even from the hardest ground. If you've carried the weight of old patterns, let this land gently. You are not broken. You are carrying a story that was never fully heard. And stories can change when they're spoken, seen, and met with kindness.